Am I audible to all of you? Okay. So let's start. First, we'll have revision. In last lecture, we discussed about niacin. So here, niacin, this is the generic term, and this generic term, it includes two terms, that is nicotinic acid and nicotinamide. What is the differentiation of this vitamin as far as other B group vitamins is concerned? Niacin, it can be synthesized in our body, and the precursor which is required for synthesis is tryptophan. Tryptophan is essential amino acid. So this essential amino acid, tryptophan, it gets converted in human body into niacin. Pyridoxine may help for this conversion. The rich sources for niacin, it includes animal foods like liver, kidney, meat, fish. Regarding milk, you should not forget milk is poor source for niacin, but since milk is rich in tryptophan, this tryptophan may get converted into the niacin. So indirectly we can say milk is source for niacin, but the tryptophan which is present in the milk will get converted into niacin. And here you are supposed to know that about 60 milligram of tryptophan it can form, or it may get converted into 1 milligram of niacin. So this is 60 and 1. Regarding functions, NAD and NADP, so these are required for metabolism of protein, fats and carbohydrate. And the most important function of niacin, it is essential for normal functioning of digestive system, nervous system and skin. Accordingly, we can get the manifestations. So manifestations related with deficiency of niacin, it is pellagra. And since this vitamin, it helps in prevention of pellagra, we call this vitamin as pellagra preventing vitamin. As far as pellagra is concerned, it is mainly found in Asia and Africa. Another important factor about pellagra you should know, as far as maize eating population is concerned or jowar eating population is concerned, these people, they are more vulnerable, or in these population we can find pellagra, maize and jowar. Why this happens? Because there is excess presence of leucine, and this excess leucine, it interferes with conversion of tryptophan to niacin. In addition, it increases metabolism of nicotinamide, and it also increases its excretion. Okay, so how the eating habit of population can get reflected into pellagra. That you are supposed to know. Two important food articles are there. One is maize, other one is jowar. Another important thing related with manifestations, here you are supposed to know 3 Ds. That is diarrhea, which is related with GI system. As we said, vitamin is essential for normal functioning of digestive system. Then there is dermatitis, there is dementia, and if it is not treated, the fourth D, it may result into death. As far as prevention of pellagra is concerned, pellagra is preventable disease. Here it is important to educate the people to avoid total dependence on maize and jowar, and they should take mixed diet containing sources of niacin. We had discussed about pyridoxine also. In short, it is pyridoxine, pyridoxal, and pyridoxamine. As far as pyridoxamine is concerned, we can get it from animal foods like liver, meat, fish, egg yolk, milk. And as far as pyridoxine is concerned, we can get pyridoxine from plant foods like whole grain cereals, legumes, vegetables, etc. And deficiency of pyridoxine, you can say it as peripheral neuritis, or some authors they have mentioned it as burning fit syndrome. Okay, burning fit syndrome, or you can say peripheral neuritis. The most important thing related with pyridoxine deficiency and treatment for tuberculosis, specifically those people who are taking anti-tubercular drug isoniazid, they are more prone to develop deficiency of pyridoxine. Reason we said isoniazid, it inhibits utilization of pyridoxine and it promotes its excretion. So don't forget, all those people who are taking isoniazid, they may show you deficiency of pyridoxine. Another important thing, if the deficiency is very, very severe, it may get manifested as anemia. And this anemia, it is similar to iron deficiency anemia. That is microcytic hypochromic anemia, but it is severe deficiency of pyridoxine which may get reflected into anemia. We discussed about pantothenic acid. Regarding pantothenic acid, just what thing you are supposed to know is its active form coenzyme A and its role as far as synthesis of cholesterol is concerned or synthesis of corticosteroids is concerned. Deficiency, experimental deficiency, it has shown adrenocortical insufficiency. Whereas in humans, there can be again burning fit or paresthesia. Regarding biotin, less frequently asked vitamin. This vitamin, it is required mainly for carbohydrate protein metabolism. We can get this vitamin from animal as well as plant sources, and deficiency may get manifested as nausea, anorexia, paresthesia, or sometimes it's rash, which you can find mainly on the face. Regarding vitamin B9, it is folic acid or folate. The recommended name for this vitamin is folate. Alternative name that we can use, it is foliacin. And what is folic acid? Folic acid is pharmaceutical preparation. So ideally it is better to mention this vitamin as folate. What are different functions of folate? As far as folate is concerned, basically it plays important role in synthesis of nucleic acid. It is important vitamin which is required for synthesis of nucleic acid, or simply we can say it is required for synthesis of DNA. Another important function, folic acid, it is required for formation of WBCs, and it is required for Rutuja, Rutuja, please mute yourself, my dear. Okay, so DNA synthesis, WBC formation, maturation of RBCs are the few important functions related with this. Regarding sources, the Latin term folia, it means leaf. So leafy vegetables are the good sources. In addition, these are fruits, these are cereals, nuts, which are important sources of this vitamin. Animal sources, it's liver, meat, eggs, milk products, all can supply folate. Just one important thing that we are supposed to know, whatever folate it is present, either it is in free form or it is in bound form. And our body definitely it can use free form in better way. Regarding loss, that also we discussed, loss of folate is concerned. There are certain cooking methods which can cause loss, preferably from plant foods or to be specifically from leafy vegetables. So this is steaming process, this is frying, this is boiling, or addition of extra water and removal of that extra water. Okay, so all these things we discussed. Now the most important part that is related with deficiency of folate, how folate deficiency is manifested. So the most important manifestation of this deficiency is anemia, and to be specifically this is megaloblastic anemia. This is megaloblastic anemia. Okay. So here when you interpret the laboratory report of your patient, you are supposed to see RBC morphology. So what you can see here, macrocytic anemia, the size will be increased. Okay, so megaloblastic anemia, lab feature simultaneously you should be able to recollect, that is macrocytic anemia. I am saying macro, MACRO, macrocytic anemia. So most important manifestation is megaloblastic anemia, and this may be further associated with, there can be glossitis. There can be glossitis. Already we have seen this. As far as glossitis is concerned, riboflavin deficiency you should not forget, and chelosis. Another important thing what you can find is chelosis. Okay, so here you are supposed to pay attention to tongue and lips of the patient. Okay, so lips may be dry and cracked even if there is a deficiency of folate. So three important things we covered: megaloblastic anemia, glossitis, and chelosis. Another important thing you should not forget is this vitamin, it can produce some GI disturbances, gastrointestinal disturbances, and here it may result in diarrhea. Okay, so there can be diarrhea or there can be flatulence. There can be diarrhea or there can be flatulence. Now sometimes if there is excessive flatulence or there is excessive gas formation, it may also result in distension. So what different GI manifestation we can get due to folate deficiency? So folate deficiency, it may get manifested as diarrhea, flatulence, or distension of abdomen. Now, what can happen if there is very severe deficiency of folate? Severe deficiency of folate, it is mainly manifested as infertility. It may get manifested as infertility, or even it may get manifested as sterility. Okay, so these are another important thing that are related with folate deficiency. So it's not only anemia. Generally student only mentions anemia, but along with anemia, remember there can be glossitis, chelosis, diarrhea, there can be flatulence, distension, and severe deficiency may get manifested as infertility or sterility. In whom we can see this deficiency? So what is the people's group or what population is having higher risk of developing deficiency of folate? Okay, so one thing, it is related with the type of food which is given to the infants. Okay, so artificially fed infants, they may be given different milk foods. Okay, different milk foods which are given during childhood. Now if these milk foods, these are artificially prepared foods, if these milk foods, they are sterilized by application of heat. Now you know that this is heat labile vitamin. So such foods, if they are used for feeding of babies, so these babies are likely to develop deficiency of folate. So this is one category. Okay, so whatever milk foods, if they are sterilized by heat sterilization, and if such foods are given to the babies. Another most important vulnerable group where you can find deficiency is pregnancy. So this is the most important step that you should not forget. During pregnancy there is increased demand, during lactation also there is increased demand, and whenever the cells are growing or whenever growing children are there, if their requirement is not fulfilled, we may get deficiency of folate. Okay, so there are certain physiological conditions, there are certain foods that are given to the babies which may contribute to deficiency of folic acid. The one more thing that is related with the role of folate and pregnancy. Basically, if there is a deficiency of folate during pregnancy, if there is a deficiency of folate during pregnancy, what it can do? So just important thing that you are supposed to know, this is concerned with neural tube defects. Okay, neural tube defects, or rather in other way we can say that neural tubes defects can be prevented by prophylactic administration of folate. Okay, now what are neural tube defects? Basically neural tube defects, they occur whenever neural tube is not closed. All these things generally happens in first trimester, so the first trimester of pregnancy, which is very important. And if these defects occurs, it further affects brain development or spinal development. So it may result in brain defects or it may result in spinal defects. So what defects are likely to occur? What defects are likely to occur? So there can be anencephaly or there can be spina bifida. Okay, so at least remember the role of this vitamin as far as neural tube defects is concerned. Neural tube defects, is it clear? There can be brain defects or there can be some spinal abnormalities like spina bifida or there can be anencephaly. Okay, so neural tube defect is important as far as pregnancy is concerned. What is a daily requirement of this vitamin? As far as daily requirement in adults is concerned, for adults the requirement is just 200 micrograms. But you should not forget this vitamin and its requirement during pregnancy. Why it is important already we have seen. This is 500 microgram. Please pay attention to the unit. It is only 500 microgram daily that should be supplied to the pregnant female. But during lactation, this is only 300 microgram. Okay. 300 microgram of folate it is required during lactation and 500 during pregnancy. Yeah. One more thing which is related with the deficiency. Now, as far as deficiency of folate is concerned, it occurs very quickly. It occurs quickly. What is the reason why this deficiency we can see quickly? This is because whatever body storage of this vitamin is concerned or body stores are concerned, they are very less. So it is just 5 to 10 milligram body stores are there, and if it gets exhausted, the deficiencies are manifested. So regarding deficiencies, just to recall, we said it is megaloblastic anemia, glossitis, cheilosis, diarrhea, flatulence, distension, infertility, and even sterility. The babies which are fed on the milk foods which are subjected to heat sterilization are likely to develop deficiency. And another important thing, pregnant lactating women, growing children, they are also vulnerable to develop deficiency of folate. Folate deficiency, it occurs very quickly. The reason for this is stores are very less, they are not large, so that is the reason deficiency can develop quickly. Regarding daily requirement, don't forget it is 500 microgram daily for pregnant female. Now here you can see one more word, antifolates. What is it? This is basically additional point. No need to mention your answer, but try to understand. Basically, antifolates, these are the drugs, or these drugs, they are also called as folic acid antagonist. Okay, so when these drugs are given to the patient, they use the folic acid which is present in the body. So whatever form folic acid is there, this is used by these drugs. The example of these drugs, it is cotrimoxazole. This is cotrimoxazole. I'm giving this name specifically because this is the fixed dose combination. So this drug further, it includes two drugs. It includes sulfadoxine and pyrimethamine. But this combination is approved. This is approved combination by World Health Organization. Now, since this combination is approved by World Health Organization and it is cheaper drug which is available, still it is used in many government centers in India. So that's why you are supposed to know antifolate or folic acid antagonist. The example is cotrimoxazole. It further includes sulfadoxine and pyrimethamine. Okay, so this mainly uses the folic acid, but if this drug it is given in early pregnancy, agar ye antifolates, if these are given in early part of pregnancy, it may result in congenital malformations. So whenever you are dealing with ANC checkup of your patient, just you should have to pay attention that whether they are taking cotrimoxazole. Okay, because this may cause abortions also, or it may cause congenital malformations also. This is related with the drug history. Okay, so whatever drugs your patient is taking during pregnancy, already these people, they are having higher risk of developing folic acid deficiency, plus this drug it is using more folic acid, and plus there is risk of congenital malformation. So this is just additional point, those who can understand well and good. Otherwise, don't forget at least one keyword, that is megaloblastic anemia. Another vitamin, this is vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 is cyanocobalamin. Okay, cyanocobalamin is pharmaceutical preparation. Like for folate, we said folic acid is pharmaceutical preparation. Similarly, cyanocobalamin is folic acid. Cyanocobalamin is pharmaceutical preparation. Okay. Now, what are various functions that this vitamin plays important role in our body? as far as one common function of vitamin B12 and folate is concerned, there is one common function, that is it is required for synthesis of nucleic acid, or it is required for synthesis of DNA, specifically in blood cells or in epithelial cells or in GI mucosa. Okay, so just one important function, that is DNA synthesis, and there is one more function which is related with vitamin B12, that is fatty acid synthesis. This is fatty acid synthesis specifically in myelin. Okay, specifically in, we are talking about myelin. So in myelin, Shrit, folic acid, this fatty acids, they are synthesized with the help of cyanocobalamin. So just two words as far as functions of cyanocobalamin is concerned: synthesis of DNA in blood cells, epithelial cells, or GI mucosa. And next function is in myelin, vitamin B12, it is required for synthesis of fatty acids. Regarding sources, here you can compare vitamin B12 with vitamin D. Okay, I told you to compare vitamin B12 with vitamin D because there is one common thing: whenever you mention sources for this drug, you should not forget, you are supposed to mention only animal sources. Okay, no plant sources or no vegetable foods. So just highlight this point, don't forget at all. These both of these vitamins are frequently asked. So vitamin D along with sunlight, fortified food, these are only animal foods. Similarly, for vitamin B12, it is only animal foods. Okay, now please permit me to end this meeting. I will just begin it right now. I will end this meeting. You please rejoin. Yes, so we are discussing sources for cyanocobalamin, and as we said, For this vitamin, you are supposed to mention only animal foods. As far as animal foods are concerned, these are basically organ meat, that is, its liver, kidney, and heart. Its liver, its heart, and its kidney, okay, which are rich sources. So it can be beef kidney, beef liver, or it can be pork. Even we may get this vitamin from fish, eggs, poultry. Okay, so simply just what we are supposed to know is animal sources. Another one more comparison that can be done with vitamin D is its synthesis. Like vitamin D is synthesized in our body with the help of precursor 7 dehydrocholesterol. Okay. Similarly, vitamin B12, it can be synthesized in our body, but it is synthesized with the help of bacterial flora. So as far as synthesis by bacterial flora is concerned, again you can compare this vitamin with vitamin K2, that is menaquinone. So menaquinone as well as cyanocobalamin, it can be synthesized by bacterial flora of the gut. But here one more thing you are supposed to know, whatever vitamin B12 which is synthesized by bacterial flora, it is not absorbed, it is excreted out. Okay, it is excreted out. So though it is synthesized, it is not much useful. Okay. Now regarding absorption, there is one more thing that you are supposed to know. Previously, this vitamin, it was called as extrinsic factor. I think in physiology you have studied this. This is called as extrinsic factor. Now what happens? This B12, it combines with intrinsic factor. Okay, so now you know very basic thing that stomach consists of parietal cells, and parietal cells, they secrete or they are responsible for formation of intrinsic factor. So whatever vitamin B12 we take in our diet, it combines with intrinsic factor. And once it combines with intrinsic factor, it is carried to the ileum, and then it binds to the brush border, and then it is absorbed. Okay, so just most important thing that you are supposed to know as far as absorption of vitamin B12 is concerned, there is important role of intrinsic factor. So now there are two possibilities as far as deficiency of cyanocobalamin is concerned. Either there can be dietary deficiency, or either there can be deficiency of intrinsic factors. So both things can result in deficiency. Now what are the vulnerable groups? In which group we can find cyanocobalamin deficiency? So here you should be very specific regarding diet history of the patient. So all those people who are taking vegetarian diet, okay, who are taking only vegetarian diets, or those who are pure vegans, or those who are pure vegans. Pure vegans are those people even they do not consume milk. Okay, so these are vegetarian people, or these are vegans. They are having high risk of developing deficiency of vitamin B12. Reason is very simple. As we know, this vitamin our body gets only from animal foods, and the deficiency, it is manifested as megaloblastic anemia, or the deficiency may get manifested as pernicious anemia. Pernicious anemia will occur when there is a deficiency of intrinsic factor. Okay. Otherwise, dietary deficiency, you can just simply mention megaloblastic anemia. Now what happens? This vitamin, it is mainly required for DNA synthesis. So what happens? There is decrease in DNA synthesis. Okay, there is decrease in DNA synthesis. Now this inhibit cell division and there is accumulation of RNA. There is more accumulation of RNA inside the cell. Okay, so this result in enlargement of cells and what we can see is megaloblasts. Okay, so basic defect is DNA synthesis, which is responsible for causing megaloblastic anemia. Another important manifestation related with this you should not forget is deficiency of vitamin B12. It may get manifested as neurological lesions. Okay, neurological lesions may occur due to deficiency of vitamin B12. This is because whenever there is a deficiency of vitamin B12, it causes demyelination. This is responsible for causing demyelination, and demyelination, it mainly occurs in those nerve fibers which are present in posterior column of spinal cord. Okay, we are talking here of posterior column. The nerve fibers which are getting demyelinated are mainly from posterior column. So what happens? What complaints you will get? This will be related with the peripheral sensations. So there can be altered peripheral sensations or there can be loss of peripheral sensations. Okay, so don't forget these lesions. Just in few words you can say demyelinating neurological lesions. Okay, demyelinating neurological lesions. Most important is megaloblastic anemia or pernicious anemia or demyelinating neurological lesions. And in animals, the deficiency of vitamin B12, it produced infertility. So infertility it has seen only in animals, so no need to mention. Regarding deficiency, already we have finished. As far as daily requirement is concerned, the daily requirement of vitamin B12 is very less. For infants, it is just 0.2 micrograms. For infants, it is just 0.2 micrograms. For adults, it is 1 microgram. For adults, it is 1 microgram. During pregnancy, it is 1.2, and during lactation, it is 1.5. Okay. So just 0.2 plus 0.5 plus during pregnancy and lactation. One more additional thing which is related with the deficiency is again additional points to know. The serum B12 level, it is near about 900, maximum it can be up to 900 micrograms. This is per ml I am talking. Okay, now what happens when this level it reduces to less than 90 micrograms, to less than 90 micrograms per ml. So that time you can get megaloblastic anemia. So there should be drastic reduction in the level of vitamin B12 for appearance of anemia. Okay, so this thing should be very clear. And another important thing, if you want to correlate the deficiency of cyanocobalamin or deficiency of vitamin B12 to surgical conditions. Now here you know that parietal cells from stomach, they secrete intrinsic factor which is required for absorption of this vitamin. So whenever person undergoes gastrectomy, partial gastrectomy, these people, they can also develop deficiency of vitamin B12. Okay, and on laboratory what you can find, lab finding related with this, as we are saying this is megaloblastic, cells का size बढ़ रहा है, तो what you can find is macrocytic anemia. आपको क्या दिखने वाला है? RBC morphology will be related with the macrocytic. Okay, so this is macrocytic anemia. Vitamin B12. Toxicity, it is related with the administration of this vitamin. So those people who give this vitamin in injectable form, there is possibility of anaphylaxis. So that you should not forget. Administration of cyanocobalamin in injectable form, it may result in anaphylaxis. The last vitamin from micronutrients or B group vitamin, this is vitamin C. Vitamin C, it is called as ascorbic acid. It is water soluble vitamin, and here ascorbic acid you can compare with folate because this is heat labile vitamin. So like folate, it is also heat labile vitamin. Okay, so this is one comparison similarity between folate and ascorbic acid. Regarding different functions related with the folate, ascorbic acid, it is antioxidant. This is antioxidant. Now I think you should be able to enlist all antioxidant vitamins. Okay, so to that list you can add one more antioxidant vitamin, that is ascorbic acid or vitamin C. Rather than antioxidant function, there are two most important functions related with vitamin C and that you must not forget. It is basically vitamin C, it is required for formation of collagen or synthesis of collagen. Okay, for collagen synthesis. So this is the most important function of ascorbic acid or vitamin C, which is required for collagen formation or synthesis of collagen. Now what happens? This vitamin C, it helps in conversion of proline. This helps in conversion of proline to hydroxyproline. Okay, hydroxyproline and proline. Okay, so conversion of proline to hydroxyproline, it occurs with the help of vitamin C or with the help of ascorbic acid. And once this conversion occurs, there is synthesis of collagen. And this collagen, once collagen is formed, it is mainly required for formation of other tissues. Like it is mainly required for synthesis of other tissues. So it mainly includes bone tissues or bone matrix. Okay, so once collagen is formed, it is further required for bone matrix, it is further required for cartilage, and it is further required for formation of capillaries. Okay, so don't forget, once collagen is synthesized, this collagen further plays important role in formation of tissues like bone tissues, bone matrix, or cartilage and capillaries. Okay, so keyword here is collagen synthesis. Another important function of this vitamin, it is required for absorption of iron. So whatever iron that we take in our body, that is absorbed with the help of vitamin C. Now how this happens? Basically vitamin C, it is a reducing agent. Okay, vitamin C is reducing agent. Now what happens? Whatever food that we take, they consist of ferric ions. They consist of ferric ions. Okay, it is in ferric form. Simply you can say whatever iron we take in diet, it is in ferric form, and it is very important that this ferric form, it should get converted to ferrous form. It should get converted to ferrous form. Okay, so this occurs with the help of vitamin C. Okay, conversion of ferric form to ferrous form, it occurs with the help of vitamin C. So that's why vitamin C is one of the most important factor which is related with iron absorption. There is one more function of ascorbic acid. Basically, ascorbic acid, it is also required for proper functioning of adrenal cortex. Okay, proper functioning of adrenal cortex, or the same thing we can say in other way, that is whenever the person is in stressful condition, whether there is physical stress or emotional stress, large amount of vitamin C is required by adrenal tissues. Okay, so stressful condition hai to vitamin C requirement by adrenal tissues increases. So same thing we said, it is required for functioning of adrenal cortex. At least two important functions you should not forget. One is collagen synthesis and other one is iron absorption. Now let's proceed further to sources of ascorbic acid. What are various sources of ascorbic acid? So here first we will talk about richest source. What is the richest source for vitamin C? The richest source, it is amla. This is amla. Okay, richest source is amla. Now here you should know one more thing. Amla, it is also known as Indian. Amla is also known as Indian gooseberry. Okay, don't forget this name. Amla, it is also known as Indian gooseberry. Now, whether amla is in fresh form or whether it is in dry form, in both forms, it is the richest source. Okay, so on the top of your list, the first source for vitamin C, it should be amla. Or if you can recall this name, it's Indian gooseberry. Okay, whether it is dry form or whether it is in fresh form. Then next in rank comes rich source. So rich source, now we are talking about rich. Initially amla we said richest. So rich source is citrus fruits. I think all of you know this. Okay, citrus fruits. So this includes mainly lime, orange, sweet lime, etc. Even other fruits, another important source, it is guava. Okay, so affordable for poor people. Okay, guava. Then as far as vegetable sources is concerned, vitamin C we can get from green leafy vegetables or vegetables like amaranth, cabbage, cauliflower, spinach, brinjal, even potato. It is good source for ascorbic acid. Okay, so you can mention different leafy vegetables for ascorbic acid, but your ranking should go from amla, then then it should go to citrus fruits, and then you can mention about leafy vegetables. Okay, one more thing, make it clear. As far as cereals and pulses is concerned, here we are talking about cereals, or to be specifically these are pulses. Okay, rather than cereals, the point for explanation, it is related with the pulses. Now when these pulses, okay, they are in dry form, if these pulses they are in dry form, they contains very negligible amount of vitamin C. okay, ड्राई फॉर्म में है तो उसमें ऑलमोस्ट विटामिन सी नहीं है. बट if you talk about germination, okay, if these are germinated pulses, okay, there is great increase in vitamin C content. Okay, so regarding pulses, you are supposed to know if we are consuming it in dry form or if we are consuming it in germinated form. Germination, that is simply we can call it as sprouts. So whatever sprouted pulses that we include in our food, that is good source for ascorbic acid. Okay, but in dry form, the vitamin C is not present. And how this germination is done? They are soaked in water, and then after soaking for few hours, they are allowed to germinate. So this process of germination is very essential as far as increase in content of vitamin C is concerned in relation to pulses. So don't forget, germinated pulses is another important source related with ascorbic acid. Okay, so instead of mentioning only pulses, the word that is important is to mention germinated pulses. Regarding deficiency, already all of you know, deficiency of vitamin C, it results in scurvy. Okay, but other things that you are supposed to know, so just don't mention this deficiency only in one word. Okay, so deficiency of vitamin C, it results in scurvy. And what important signs you can see? The most important thing what you can see is bleeding. Okay, most important thing is bleeding. So this bleeding may occur from gums, or there can be swelling of the gums. In addition, bleeding may occur into skin, okay, in the form of petechiae or ecchymosis. Even sometimes bleeding may occur in joints also. Okay, so these are additional things to mention, bleeding into skin and joints. But for as per K Park, it's bleeding gums. Okay. As far as medicine authors is concerned, they have mentioned that bleeding may occur into the skin in the form of petechiae ecchymosis or in joints. Now, how this further it may get manifested. So, whenever you see patients of scurvy, they are generally weak and anemic. They are generally weak, or even they may be anemic. What is the reason for anemia? The reason is, since we have seen that important manifestation is bleeding. Now this bleeding, it may result in loss of heme, and that may get manifested as anemia. So there can be microcytic hypochromic anemia. Okay, so like similar to iron deficiency anemia. So regarding anemia and vitamins, microcytic hypochromic, we said it for severe deficiency of pyridoxine, and we said it for vitamin C, but for vitamin C it is mainly due to bleeding. Okay, and macrocytic, we mainly said it for folate, and we mainly said it for vitamin B12. So two different types of anemias related with the nutrition that you are supposed to know. Okay, another important thing is, as far as this vitamin C and growth of bones is concerned. Okay, now what happens? How this vitamin C deficiency may get manifested in children before ossification of the bones. What happens? The cells at the epiphyseal end, okay, they proliferate. They proliferate. But yes. Okay, okay. At the time of attendance, just 2 minutes for attendance. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So what we said is, as far as growth of bones is concerned, at the epiphyseal end proliferation occurs. Okay, but since deficiency of vitamin C is there, collagen is not formed, and this collagen is not laid down. Okay, so it interferes with ossification. Now there is one more possibility, that if bones are already ossified and a deficiency of vitamin C occurs, in that case what happens? What we said, this collagen, it is further required for bony matrix. Okay, now since bone matrix is not formed, there is possibility of fractures. Okay, so these are again additional manifestations. Scurvy is most important thing that you should know. You should not forget about scurvy. But if at all you can correlate that scurvy, bleeding manifestations with anemia, you can definitely mention it. And in relation to growth of the bones before ossification and after ossification, what can happen. As far as daily requirement is concerned, for infants, it is 20 milligram. Here unit is milligram. For adults, this is 40. During pregnancy, same requirement is there, but during lactation, it is 80 milligram. Okay, during lactation, it is 80 milligram. So this is about our vitamins. Now it's my kind request to CR to please start with attendance. Yes. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Okay. 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 At what time she disconnected? Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay.